Hi, my name is Cherie Yanek, Churchill Librarian. Today we are reading Rainbow Weaver, Tejedora Arcoiris. And you'll notice that this book is in English and Spanish, and this is a bilingual book. Today we'll just be reading the English, but if you do read Spanish, I encourage you to get this book on your own and read the whole thing because I think you'll really enjoy it. And I think if whether you speak English or Spanish, you will love this book about following your dreams and figuring out a way to make the world a better place as you do so. This book is written by Linda Elovitz Marshall and it's illustrated by Elisa Chavarri. Again, it's Rainbow Weaver. Let's dive in to this colorful, gorgeous book. And I had spent some time in Guatemala in the past, and the colors, like this book, I love it because it reminds me of my time when I was there. High in the mountains above Lake Atitlan, Eggshell watched her mother weave thread into fabric as beautiful as a rainbow. There's her mother weaving right here. The fabric had blues as clear as the sky, reds as bright as the flowers, and yellows as golden as the corn. Mama, Eggshell asked, may I weave too? Her mother shook her head. Not now, Eggshell, she answered. This cloth is for the market. If it brings a good price, it will help pay for your school and books. In and out, in and out. Eggshell's mother and neighbors wove on backstrap looms. They wove as their mothers, grandmothers, and great-grandmothers had done before them, as Mayan women had done for more than 2,000 years. After a while, Eggshell asked, Mama, may I weave now? Again, her mother shook her head. Count threads with me, my love. I'll show you how we make designs. Eggshell and her mother counted together. Gai, oxi, kaji. With each additional color, the cloth grew longer and the design prettier. Eggshell reached for some thread. Please, she asked. No, my love, answered her mother. You are still too young, and there is no extra thread. So she wants to try to help earn money, right? Her mama says that this is trying to get money for her school and for her books, but there's no extra thread, so she can't really help out. Eggshell crossed her arms and studied the hard-packed dirt of the yard. I want to weave. I want to help pay for my books in school too, she thought. But she didn't say anything. Instead, she walked toward the milpa, the field where the villagers planted corn, beans, and squash. Plastic bags littered the path. Day after day, more bags were tossed from the windows of passing vehicles or discarded by people returning from the market. No one could use all the bags, and there was nowhere to put them. So just take a moment and look at this picture. Obviously, it's really beautiful. You see some mountains. There's plants, probably some sort of forest, looks like trees, and then there are the fields over here, right? And it's really beautiful, but then all this trash on the ground kind of takes away from that beauty. That's what trash often does, right? Pushing the bags aside, Eggshell gathered branches and sticks. Some of the sticks were long and some were short. She gathered the sticks and branches home, then tied them together. What are you doing? A neighbor asked. Making a loom, Eggshell answered. Her mother smiled. But Eggshell, she said, we don't have any extra thread. I know, Mama, she answered. I won't take any. What do you think she has in mind? She's not going to take any thread, but she's making a loom. Eggshell tied one end of her loom to a tree, then gathered a tall blade of pahong grass. Sitting on the ground, Eggshell joined the blades of grass together by knotting the end of one blade to the end of another, until she made a long chain. Then she pushed the batten over and under, back and forth, turning the blades of grass into fabric. When the fabric was finished, this is it right here, it was too small to be a doormat or even a placemat. It was too scratchy to wear as a bracelet. Worst of all, it was a dull, greenish white. The fabric was far too small, far too scratchy, and far too dull for anyone to buy. Eggshell knew it would never sell. So she's trying to make something that she could sell at the market, but it doesn't sound like this is the right thing. To Disappointed, Ixchel took another walk. Climbing the path villagers took to bring sheep up the mountain, she saw a clump of black wool hanging from a branch. So wool is like the fur of a sheep. Ixchel tucked the wool under her belt. She noticed more clumps of black and white wool dotting the grasses, sticks, and plants. Ixchel gathered this wool and tucked it under her belt, too. So they usually have a pretty big belt. So a little bit of space for that. At home, Ixchel turned and twisted the wool, spinning it into a long, thick strand of yarn. Then over and under, back and forth, she pushed the batten and wove the yarn into fabric. See what happens. Ixchel looked at what she had woven. The fabric was thick and heavy. The colors were boring. So this is it right here. Take a look. Tiny pieces of grass and dirt were stuck in the fabric. The weaving was far too thick, far too boring, and far too dirty for anyone to buy. Tears rolled down Ixchel's cheeks. There's no way my weaving will sell in the market, she thought. No way I can help. Wiping her tears, Ixchel headed toward the milpa again. Along the way, she kicked aside a plastic bag. Red, purple, orange, green, yellow, and blue bags were everywhere. They were in the fields, dropping from the branches, and clogging the roads and ditches. There were so many bags, it was hard for her to walk. Angry, Ixchel picked up a bag. She ripped it into shreds. Suddenly, she had an idea. What do you think this idea is? Ixchel gathered bag after colorful bag. She took the bags home, washed them, and hung them to dry. Now what are you doing? Another neighbor asked. Ixchel smiled. You'll see, she said. So what do you think she's doing? By the next day, the bags were dry. Ixchel cut each bag into long, thin strips. She tied the bag strips together. Sitting at her loom, Ixchel pushed the batten over and under, back and forth, weaving until she had used all the strips. The fabric was short, but it was clean and colorful. It had blues as clear as the sky, reds as bright as the flowers, and yellows as golden as the corn. The fabric looked like a beautiful rainbow, almost as pretty as the weavings of her mother, grandmother, and great-grandmothers before her. So pretty. Wondering what else she could make with plastic bag, Ixchel headed back to the milpa. As she gathered more bags, the path looked cleaner and the countryside prettier, right? So she's trying to make something to sell, but at the same time, she's cleaning things up and she's making it a lot nicer for everyone else. She's picking up all this trash. When Ixchel returned home, her mother and neighbors were waiting with colorful plastic bags. We saw what you were doing, a neighbor said. We wanted to help. And without the bags everywhere, our village looks pretty again, said another neighbor. See? They're all right there. Ixchel thanked them. Then she handed the weaving to her mother and said, My first rainbow. Her mother hugged her close. It's beautiful, my love, she said. Thank you, Mama, Ixchel said. But do you think it will sell? Let's take it to the market and see, said her mother. At the market the next day, Ixchel and her mother watched as people walked by the stalls. Finally, a woman stopped. She picked up Ixchel's weaving and asked, Did you make this? When Ixchel nodded, the woman smiled. Her weaving sold, and for a very good price. Ixchel beamed with happiness. Now she could help pay for her books and school. And like her mother, grandmother, and great-grandmothers before her, Ixchel had woven a rainbow. So this was Rainbow Weaver. I hope you enjoyed this beautiful, colorful story. Thanks for listening, and keep on reading.